Howdy YouTube, welcome back to the Homeless Heart vlog, where today we're going to be doing some head-to-head comparisons between this 2018 Les Paul Standard and this 2017 American Professional Stratocaster. We're going to break this video down into two parts. First, we're going to talk about getting a high gain rhythm distortion sounds out of each guitars and different things that you can do to make them sound alike or different. And then we're going to be looking at rhythm sounds for low gain options on both of the guitars. First up, this is my 2018 Gibson Les Paul Standard, built right here in the good old US of A. It's got Burstbucker 3 humbuckers, and this is a Mojave Burst. Bought this new from Sweetwater a few years ago, and it kind of has been the mainstay guitar, my number one, my go-to. And the clean tone sounds like this. I'm just running it through a deluxe reverb into my Universal Audio aux into Pro Tools. Now let's get some high gain rhythm tones out of this thing. And what we're going to be using for high gain rhythm tones today is the JHS Angry Charlie. So right now, I've got everything on the JHS Angry Charlie right at noon. We're running pretty clean into the Fender Deluxe Reverb, and it sounds like this. So that's with the controls all at noon. I'm going to show you some EQ tricks that I like to do on some songs here and there. The first one is getting that kind of 80s Megadeth sound, and what I'm going to do for that is set the bass and treble to all the way to the right and set the mids to low, and we're going to get that classic 80s distortion sound on metal albums. That's a sound that I don't particularly like, but you can hear it all over the 80s metal albums. You still hear it a lot today. Sounds like Megadeth, sounds like Metallica. Do with it what you will. What I like to do to kind of hit the sweet spot of my amp and this guitar, and what I usually record to, is I'll set everything at noon, bump the mids a little bit up, and bump the treble up. And really this just gives you a little bit more note definition when you're playing chords, especially in a rhythm situation. That's the sweet spot that I think works well with this guitar. Let's take it over to the Strat. All right, here is my clean tone on the Strat. Sounds really good already. What we're gonna do to get some high gain tones out of this is we'll start with the same thing we did on the Les Paul, going into the JHS Angry Charlie. All controls are set at noon. Let's see how that sounds. I'm hearing it a little less bass and less saturation. And what I think that is because of is we're on the bridge pickup and we're playing through single coils. The pickup magnets on the Strat bridge pickup for my particular Strat are staggered, meaning that the magnets are closer on the D and G strings than they are the E and the B and the A strings. So I'm hearing a little bit of a mid hump and I don't hear as much bass. So to keep dialing in the sound, I'm gonna tweak the bass up and put the mids down, and also tweak the drive up on the JHS Angry Charlie. I'm hearing the bass start to come in a little bit more. It still doesn't, the bass doesn't sound as saturated to me as the Les Paul. Drive is set around 2 o'clock. I'm gonna crank it all the way up to 3. Now I'm really starting to hear the low end have that same saturation as the Les Paul does. So can you get high gain sounds out of the Strat? I guess in this case, I'm trying to make the Strat sound like my Les Paul. That may or may not be your goal, but if you only have the Les Paul, as long as you got a 3-band EQ, I think you can get these guitars basically in the same ballpark. Sue me if you don't disagree.